I'd like to call the July meeting of the Lancaster Township Planning Commission to order and invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Call for approval of our minutes of our June 16th meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. And this is the point in our agenda where we invite the public, if they have anything that they would like to offer that is not related to any item on the agenda, to please identify themselves and state their business. Hearing none, we're going to move into subdivision land development plans, LTPC Southern Village Phase 5, sketch plan briefing item. Bill, please introduce yourself, although I know you don't need any introduction.
Thank you. I'm Bill Swart with David Miller Associates, and with me also is Cindy Bigler. She's the applicant.
Nice to meet you.
And Jasmine Lee is a coworker. She's here shadowing a little bit to get familiar with that process here. We are here for your, I'm going to say for some of you, maybe a continued review of portions of the Southern Village project. And I'll just speak from the board here. This project has been in the process of development and approvals since the early 2000s, 2001-ish. This is the final phase. I'll say it's the final phase of the project, phase 5, which is located at the eastern side of the property, somewhat separated, but along Wallbank Road. The quarry pond is kind of bisects it from the rest of the development. This is referred to as phase 2. This was a townhouse style, it's a condominium ownership or planned community development. But what we're proposing is there are 10 single-family dwelling lots that would be off of a short cul-de-sac. I guess the reason for bringing it into context with the entire project, there is a slight adjustment in, if you will, for the layout of the lots from the original preliminary plan that had been reviewed and approved as part of the conditional use approval for the overall project. There was a lot that was previously proposed kind of in this open space area, and that would have been 1 and then these 9, but now there's really just 10 lots proposed off of this cul-de-sac. All the lots would be served by public sewer and water. Stormwater management, like the majority of Southern Village, is managed by the quarry pond. The water is directed into the quarry pond and would be rate control and other elements of the requirements are managed within the quarry pond. There are some features of this area that on the original plan were going to be sustained, but are now going to be altered, I'll say. That specifically includes, this is an old scale house. When the quarry was in operation, this was a scale house. That's going to be removed. There are some stormwater features that will need to be revised. I think we'll make an improvement to the conveyance capacity of this stormwater system that runs from the north side of Wallbank Road through pipes and discharges and down into the river. You can see the homes are shaded. This home is the one that Cindy is interested in occupying once this is subdivided. The difference between the original plan, there was 2 dwellings that, although they don't have direct access onto Wallbank Road, they were positioned in this location. We've added, basically reconfigured this, but added a third. It's off of a shared driveway. These 2 would be off of a shared driveway. All the driveways would be off of this proposed roadway. Access to the quarry would be afforded to these residents. They would form a ownership association of some sort to allow for some access and maintenance down. I guess there's an ongoing question about the possibility of future dedication of the roadway. There are some features that have been constructed. If the roadway were to be dedicated, would probably need to be either evaluated or rebuilt within the roadway.
And can you show that, what you're talking about, Bill?
So there are some stormwater features in here that were built with the earlier phases that may need to be evaluated in order to present the request to the township for acceptance of dedication of the road, just because they were done in a manner or there was no observation of their construction. The houses, single-family homes, generally front-loaded driveways. Again, no access off of, direct access off of Wallbank. During the earlier phases of the project, there was a walkway, some improvement was done at the intersection, and then a continuation of the walkway to the property line. We will need to get an updated permit to allow for the finalization of that entrance off of Wallbank Road from the state, because Wallbank Road is a state highway. That's kind of an overview of what we have proposed, and I think in talking about the project with Ben and others, seemed like a good idea to come in and just go over this with you at this level and get some feedback before we would move forward with plans. The next step would be to amend our conditional use to enable the revision to the layout, and then we would move forward with the plan based on that approval with the subdivision.
Well, one thing I liked is that you don't have any access directly out onto Wallbank. I like the idea that you have, like a parallel access, and then everybody's coming out at the one spot. Have you had any discussions about what's going to be required? Is there any modifications that are going to be required relative to radii or the width of the driveway there, Bill?
I don't think we're going to ask for relief of anything, if that's what you're asking. No, I think we would be proposing a compliant design for the roadway access.
Is there an existing permit for that?
There was a permit, it's expired.
Oh, okay.
The improvements that were made were observed, and then that permit was closed out. So the condition, that was a location of a driveway previously that's been historically used to access that portion of the site, but we will have to get a new permit for it.
John or Ben, are flag lots permitted by right?
I'm not wanting to comment on this plan until I have time to review it.
Okay. For some reason, I recall a past project with a flag lot needing a variance. Could be misremembering, but I've never seen a double nested flag lot, I'll just say that. Which between the 263 and 264. Because 264 is a flag lot on its own, and then 263 would be a flag lot next to the flag lot.
Yeah, I believe they are permitted. We can obviously clarify that as we move forward. I would also suggest that I think that the usual restriction is to limit the number of units that would be sharing a driveway. We have had multiple projects that have gone up to 4 units. That's kind of the threshold. You don't go above 4. They do have accessibility for fire suppression and what have you directly from Wallbank Road. It's really just the access, because it's an access controlled situation.
The other thing that I saw would be likely a variance needed for fill in the floodplain for lot 266. It looks like that that house is proposed in the 100-year floodplain.
We might need to get permission to modify that. Now I think we're improving the situation because we're moving a dwelling that's right there now out of the floodplain, so I think there would be some But obviously, that's something that we can talk about.
Has that property had any flooding issues? The building that you'll be removing?
Yes.
I'd imagine it has a pipe running under it.
There is a large box culvert that runs through there. And I don't know what has triggered the flooding to come across the road. It isn't necessarily, I think, a restriction in those pipes. It might be further upstream.
And did you say moving or removing, Bill?
Removing.
Removing, thank you.
And is it your belief that the new structure will be out of the hazard of flooding?
Yes.
It looks like, I'm looking at the aerial here, it looks like there's 3 structures on this property now, they'll all be demolished, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's hard to
There's
see.
2 Quonset huts that are
Yeah,
located up in this area.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell on here where the Greenway riparian easement goes compared to the 266 and the 267 properties.
It's here. So the Greenway riparian easement is about 100 feet, well, it is 100 feet off the top of the embankment. Or
So
top
it
of the
comes
stream.
closest to 270, the home of 270?
Correct.
The note here says about open space lot 1. Could you point that out on that's down there? Okay.
Yeah. Open space lot 1 is bounded by the quarry pond
Okay.
and phase 2.
And right now, that's only, people only walk in that area, maybe drives up to access that.
Correct. Well, there is an access, I'll say an access driveway, gravel driveway that can get you down to the quarry pond.
But
That'll be
that-
modified.
That'll be modified. And there'll still be vehicle access, or there'll be just pedestrian access?
There will be, the objective is to primarily have pedestrian access, but there will be a point of access for emergency vehicles to get down there.
Okay.
So would that access come off the cul-de-sac?
Correct.
And then the last question I think I had was the walking path along Wabank. Does the properties 263, 64, and 65, does their property end before that walking path, or is that on their property? How do those things align?
So it's in the right of way right now, so under normal processes, I think we'll need to define for those landowners, I think historically, this landowner, Cindy, has been responsible for that pathway, but I'll have to verify that as it relates to the homeowners association for phase 2. I don't think they were burdened with that, so it'll become the responsibility of the individual landowners that front onto the roadway.
And would there be any sort of fencing to keep people from accessing those properties, or would that be up to the homeowner to
That would be up to
do
the
that?
homeowner. It's like a walkway in front of your house.
Okay. But the front, where would the front of those houses be?
They would front onto the road.
They would front onto
Yeah.
the road, okay.
They just wouldn't have access onto the road.
Yeah, okay.
Other questions from planning commission?
You said that these homes would be part of their own HOA arrangement?
Yes. They would have a separate ownership, I guess, group category that would be formed by this group.
Or is 263 to 271 or 272 rather?
Correct.
Are the previous phases all part of their own, a part of one HOA?
There's 2.
There's 2.
There's one that's for phases 3. Phase 2 has, basically, it's a homeowners association, it's a planned community, I believe. I don't think it's a condominium. So that's its own entity. Then there's phase 1, 3A, and 3B are a homeowners association, and then phase 4 is a separate homeowners association.
For now.
For now.
Clarification then.
Yeah, it does seem strange. to be one community and have multiple homeowners associations.
Any other questions?
Do you intend to include the path of a future trail in the riparian easement, the greenway easement?
We will sustain, as part of the overall project, there's a 25-foot trail easement that runs right along the toe of the slope and adjacent to the river.
Hmm.
Now, I will admit to you that's a pretty steep cross slope through there. But that was established for both along the river, and then there's also a tributary that is between and adjacent to, so it extends up this way. And that, it's not really shown on this plan very well, but it comes up through here. And that's in place as well.
My understanding of that provision in the Saldo is that you at least have to show the alignment of the trail. It needs to be X amount of feet wide. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's something for next time you do come back to look into that.
Yeah, so this area has been reserved and will continue to be reserved for that trail.
Aside from, like, on top of the easement showing that width of that future trail, but that's my understanding of the code and the ordinance.
So that's previously approved and agreed to condition. If you want to have that added to the overall project, I guess we can talk about that, because that's going to involve other,
Oh, you're talking.
That would involve-
That's in phase 4.
that would involve phase 4 and phase 5.
I guess for at least.
And it's for the whole project.
For phase 5, we could have that discussion. This has preliminary plan approval.
There was a preliminary plan approved and a conditional use plan approved for the project years ago.
Okay. My understanding is the preliminary plan, although it's approved, doesn't expire, but you are subject to the current regulations of the township within that 5-year period afterwards. That's just my understanding. I'm not an attorney.
I'm making a note that we need to look into that requirement.
Ben, what's the minimum length, do you know off the top of your head, for a liquid fuels cul-de-sac? Is it 250 feet?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, well, I actually do. Where is lot 259?
Lot 259 is nowhere. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, so where was it though?
It was located in phase, the 4 area in lot open space lot 2.
Okay. So that area is completely not part of
Correct.
phase 5 now, okay.
This property was bisected. There was a major property line, I'll say. This land to the east of this was owned by Blue Rock Ventures. This portion was owned by Hogan Her Wolf 2, I think was the ownership entity. So this lot, 259, was part of the development, the preliminary plan that was part of the Blue Rock Ventures ownership entity, as well as lots 260 and 261, which Cindy has sold back to the other entity. But it's no longer proposed.
Anyone else? Ben, you have anything to add?
No.
So you said the next step, Bill, is you're going to be coming back in with a submission for review?
For conditional use or
Yeah.
amendment, I would imagine it's how we're handling it.
Okay, thank you.
you very much.
So another procedural question. I'll be doing a review of this sketch plan. Will the planning commission want to see that review letter, or will you just want to see that information folded into the conditional use application?
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the review letter.
Yeah.
Does that
Do
make
you want us
sense?
to come back again?
It's a question for the planning commission. Would you want to discuss that review letter? I don't know what it's going to say yet. But
Yeah. Yes.
So I think it might be a good idea to have another discussion about the sketch plan after the review letter's done. That
Okay.
makes sense.
You let me know when you'd like to have us back. We'll be back to see you.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, then, under new business, we have something we talked about that was coming, was the non-vehicular campgrounds ordinance. And this is listed as a discussion item. John, you want to
Sure.
do this,
little bit
please?
of background. So this kind of came about because we had an issue on a property in the township where, I guess the best way to call it would be like primitive camping was being done. Basically tents, no water, no sanitation, no nothing, just
Have a good night.
simply
Thank you.
pop up a tent and stay as long as you like. And one of the issues, one of the serious concerns we had was a lot of the tents were in a flood zone. There's no system of warning anyone if there were to be a flood, any of that stuff outside of it's raining, maybe we should be concerned. So that's kind of led to the need for an ordinance.
Were the people paying to camp there, or that was just like
No,
somebody was
not that
letting?
I'm aware of.
Yeah, okay.
So what we did was created this ordinance. We included the industrial and lost it here. Two zones.
Campus open space.
Thank you. Campus open space is the second. That we felt were most appropriate for this type of situation. And the requirement that, basically supply some basic needs, water, sanitation, to make it a safe place, and not to be camping in the flood zone. We just felt that it was important that, if people are going to utilize property in the township for camping, it should be done in a manner that's safe. So we're not requiring any not like a campground where you park an RV and have individual sites with sanitation, water, electric, all that stuff. We're mindset is like somewhere available on the property that someone could have potable water, sanitation, perhaps showers, that type of thing. That it would be clean, sanitary, a place for people to stay.
And you expect that whoever becomes the owner of such a place would have some kind of a delineation of space for each of these campers? Or not?
We're not, no campers, it would just be.
No, it wasn't campers, people, not
Oh,
campers,
okay.
vehicles.
Okay. Yeah, we would anticipate some sort of designated area. Again, the floodplain was the concern in this one situation. We don't want people in the flood zone, or if they are, we would at least like to see some type of warning system or some way that people would be notified of that potential that they could get out prior to the flooding. It's really, I don't even see it as designated like campsites as much as like an area on the property that would be designated for that, and then an area for these other services, the water and the sanitation.
Are you concerned about the floodway or the floodplain? Because the way it's written right now, it says floodway.
They were, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm probably using the wrong terms, floodway. That's,
Okay,
they were actually tent set up sleeping in the floodway.
gotcha. But you would be okay with it in the floodplain?
Yeah.
I would just possibly suggest that if it is within the floodplain, that they have that emergency action plan or something along those lines you're talking about.
Okay.
Who's going to get to review this weekly assessment?
Weekly assessment?
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Which one? Where does it say that?
It's on page 2, item I, 280-.523. Seems like overkill. And who's going to look at it, or does it just get filed?
I have not been told who's going to look at it. I have my suspicions who will be looking
Well,
at
Ben
it.
likes field trips.
So it says maximum occupancy, non-vehicular campground shall not exceed one person per 500 square feet.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have two people in a tent?
Good
It's in
question.
density.
Yeah.
So
Just means you need 1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet per two people, but they could be in the same tent.
Okay.
So I'll interpret that.
Yeah, is that number from other similar ordinances?
Yeah,
or-
good question, Eugene.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We don't know of similar ordinances.
Okay.
I,
Is that right?
yeah, I'm not aware of any, and I was not tasked with writing this, so I
Yeah.
don't have
Like
all
you
the
could-
background like I have on some of the others we've worked
If you
on.
wanted that to be different, you could look at, like, there's different state parks that's, you know, the sites are pretty much all similar in size. You find out what that is, and they're allowed 6 people per site, or
Mhm.
5 people per site. And so you could, like, verify that maybe, if
Yeah.
that makes sense, for a density metric. The one thing that I was thinking about, so it says that it can be occupied between March and November. Is the intent to permit people to live there from March to November, or is there some sort of you can't stay more than 2 weeks situation?
I don't believe there's any limitation
We
on
don't have any
how long
concerns
they can be
about
there.
that, okay?
I think I suspect that the November through March is more of a, it's cold unless you're
Sure.
providing the services, in a fashion that is going to be okay for the winter, that,
Yeah.
in a primitive situation, it's probably not going to be done.
How'd you decide the industrial zone? The open space, campus zone, that makes sense to me. Just
Yeah.
hearing industrial zone.
I think more keeping out of the residential districts, industrial is, I believe is listed, it would be a special exception,
Conditional.
conditional use. And having that ability to determine what's appropriate on an industrial, so, if you have a business on an industrial site or on an industrial zone that is heavy equipment moving around and so forth, probably not a good place to have foot traffic, people tenting and so forth. If you have an industrial site where it's maybe all self-contained inside a building, probably less of a problem.
Mhm.
I think it's just low impact on the neighboring.
Okay. Is there any other, I guess, recreational uses that are permitted? If we want to call
In
this
industrial?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it.
Do you want to specify that this is for recreational use, or the may live temporarily? Like if I had an empty industrial warehouse and it's got bathrooms and water, could I make that into a campground under this ordinance?
I don't believe under this, because there'd be building code
Okay,
items that would apply.
so do we need to specify that
It'd be a
this
permanent
is,
structure. So-
yeah, that this is on undeveloped land or something of that nature? Or do you think that's covered by other things?
I think it says that it has to have potable water,
Mm.
sanitary sewer, personal hygiene facilities.
Right.
Those
That could
things
be-
to me say that it already has to be developed to have.
So what's not the word? It's not developed, like, when I mean develop, I meant something built on, non-built land.
What's the distance that vehicles?
Like non-impervious.
Yeah,
Closest they can be?
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do the vehicles that transport the campers there, where do they park or where?
So I think that would have to be determined through the conditional use. I mean, that could vary site to site, units, property to property, not site to site.
Okay. Because like the way I'm reading it, it's like you couldn't park your vehicle next to where you're camping.
No.
Correct.
Okay. Because I've seen, vehicles that have like a kind of a camper setup.
Yeah.
And,
So this is specific to non-vehicle camping.
right.
I would think these would be called walk-in sites.
Yeah.
If you were at a
So what I'm thinking of though isn't necessarily like a camper or something. It's just
yeah, you're
I don't-
bringing your gear.
it's-
If you're there recreationally, you're bringing your gear in your car and then you're unloading it and walking down to your site. I guess would be how this would all work.
okay.
Like same, what was envisioned as, because it said no vehicles, permanent shelters or structures, what kind of structures would be allowed that aren't permanent?
Tents.
Okay,
Yeah.
what else? If somebody puts up a lean-to,
Yeah, lean-tos will not be permanent.
They could build a bathhouse though, the property owner.
Sure.
That would be okay.
Yeah, it'd be a process to go through, but yeah, they could do those improvements, bathhouse, place to get potable water.
so I'm going to get back to clarification on what you had asked about, or you had responded to, and said about one person for 500 feet, and then Angie said, what if you have two people, or let's say 6 people? Now, what was your explanation, or what was the comment?
Take the size of the lot or land that camping is allowed on and divide that by 500, and that's how many people you can have. And they can all be in one tent or spread across it. You're just setting a density of people per
Okay, gotcha.
people by land area. That's how I understand it.
So you're saying maybe a little more clarification on this, or not?
I don't think it's ambiguous. So,
Okay.
I don't know if it's the right number.
Mhm.
I'm wondering about, it seems like we're creating a category of like a land use that anticipates that use continuing, and you're submitting weekly reports and things and getting certain pre-approvals. What about the case of like a club or a church group that has an overnight?
Yeah.
Is there space for some amount of camping to be an accessory use to something else, or are we trying to prohibit any camping? Like, what if I pitch a tent with my kids in the yard? Like, at what point are we not
So if you're
conforming?
pitching a tent in your backyard as a residence, that's typically a night or two.
That's accessory,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What about if it's Girl Scouts or something on private property? Is there I was looking at the definition of non-vehicular campground and looking for if that has a floor, like a minimum intensity where we're not worried about this anymore, but
I
it
don't
doesn't.
believe there is that type of standard set. So, I mean, if there was a property that wished to do this as some sort of commerce or as like a regular occurrence, I think that's going to fall under the ordinance versus you just want to set up something on your property and use it. It's an accessory. I don't see that applying to that
Yeah.
situation.
I'm looking at the definition of non-vehicular campground and thinking that where persons may live temporarily, and then you're defining temporarily as it's used in that sentence as this March to November period, and that strikes me as a little confusing. Like if somebody was allowing like strangers, people they don't know, to come and set up non-vehicular campsites on their property, but only for March through June, they're still captured here. I don't know, it might be worth trying to clarify that definition so that
Okay.
live temporarily doesn't mean you have to be there for that entire period. It just strikes me as an unusual construction there.
And do these people pay a fee? The one you said we have now, and which caused us to take a look at this, did they pay a fee now? Is that the?
I don't know that they did. I'm not sure.
Because I'm thinking if there's no fee involved, what's to prevent somebody, let's just say that, you know, they don't have a permanent residence, but they happen to have a tent, and they said, wow, I know a place where I can go set up this tent, and I can be there between March and November.
Yeah, there's nothing in the draft that would address as commerce, you know, some sort of an exchange of money for that.
Just a suggestion, Joan, for what I must have mentioned a moment ago. You could move that March to November piece out of the definition and put it as one of the requirements under 1523. You know,
Okay.
and just leave temporarily to mean temporarily, as in like non-permanent.
Okay.
Glenn, I didn't quite hear. I didn't hear your whole thought.
Oh, I said, suppose that there's somebody that doesn't have a permanent residence,
Yeah.
but they have a tent,
Right.
they have different gear, and they said, wow, there's a place I can go, I can set up my tent and put my things in there, and I can stay there between March 1st and November 1st.
Well, if they don't have the permission of the landowner, they'd be trespassing.
Yeah.
But if they do have the permission of the landowner, I think that would be within the allowance here, as long as the landowner is responsible for complying with all the requirements and things.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking if there was a fee involved for people using the ground.
Yeah, we're not trying to limit it to a fee.
Yeah.
If you wish to allow people to do it.
No, that was
on
just
your
a
property,
question I
great.
had, I didn't know.
But we're not, I mean, if someone wanted to collect a fee, they can potentially do that. It's just not part of the ordinance that they're required to either way.
Is there, I might have missed it, is there a distance from property lines that you could allow people to camp? Because that might be something you'd want to have. I don't know that I want an encampment put up, you know, if you have a property that you like, you may not want an encampment right on the
So
property line.
essentially like a setback.
I
Yeah.
think it already says,
Is it in there
it says
somewhere?
lot, yard, and height regulations of principal use.
I didn't know if
And
that
so
was
you-
just renumbering that one or if it was changing that.
So it's adding this
Right, it's adding that.
into the
So
industrial
it's
zone.
905 something applicable. Because we don't have any real structures on it.
Yeah, I guess you're right there.
John, can I ask you to characterize for the commission, when you said there was one location you have, and I don't want you to identify or anything else, but just characterize what was the situation or the problem that was the precipitant for doing this? I'd like to know a little bit of a background.
So, no sanitation, no potable water in the floodway. Sanitation is what you would probably imagine when there is no bathhouse or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we know where the bear goes, so, okay.
Yeah. So that was one of the big concerns. Again, all three of those items together were just kind of
Okay,
the whole
thank
thing.
you. Other questions or suggestions? It's been a good discussion. Gretchen, do you have a capsule, do you capture some of these things? Okay, great. Any other final thoughts on this? Okay.
I have one quick thought. I would think about it longer if I had time, but I don't. The tough period of the year, March to November, I don't know, might be worth considering making some flexibility to go longer into the cold season if they can provide adequate warming facilities, or another way to satisfy you that it's not a serious health
Okay.
risk. I don't know.
Sure.
Is that period common, or is there just kind of a guess at what is a safe range for people.
It's also based on the idea that we'd like to have the site restored,
So that thing, yeah.
so that's not gonna happen if you allow people to continue to live there into December.
Mhm.
What types of activities are you thinking about when you say restore? Because grass isn't growing anymore, really.
Grass can grow in November.
Especially the winters that we've had lately. So, all right.
Okay,
Great, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, John.
all right. Any old business? Do we have any announcements, or shall we adjourn the meeting? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment?